Fine guys. In the last session, we completed this consumes, produces, content type and accept. So today, I want to develop one REST API which will take passenger data as input and it will provide ticket data as output. Now observe carefully. My requirement: develop a REST API to book train ticket. Okay, develop a REST API to book train ticket. Right. So here in this REST API, first we need to understand input for the REST API is passenger data and output from the REST API is ticket data. If you give passenger data, then it will give you ticket data. So for this functionality, we need to develop a REST API. Develop IRCTC REST API to book train ticket. It will take input as passenger data and it will take output as ticket data. Now XML is anyhow outdated. I want to support only JSON data. Now here I'm going to specify consumes. What is the meaning of consumes? In which format it will accept the data. I'm specifying as JSON. That means it will take data only in the JSON format. Then next one, produces. What is the meaning of produces? In which format it is going to provide response. Right. Read the requirement now. Develop an IRCTC REST API to book train ticket. To book the ticket, I need passenger data. Once the ticket booking is completed, I will return ticket data. So as part of this input and output, I'm supporting only JSON. Consumer can send passenger data in the JSON format and the consumer can take ticket data in the JSON format. So what I want to do is, observe. Here, I will develop one REST API. That is what we are going to do today. That is IRCTC REST API. This IRCTC REST API, once this development is completed, I will deploy this REST API in AWS cloud. I will deploy this REST API in the AWS cloud, because if I deploy this REST API in the AWS cloud, you can also access my API. As of now, whatever the API I am developing, it is running only in my system, localhost 8080. Only I can access my API in my computer. But here, IRCTC API, whatever I am going to develop, I will test it by using Postman. If it is working as expected, then I will deploy that API in the AWS cloud. Why should I deploy in the AWS cloud? Everybody can access my API. If you are able to access my API, then we will understand how to develop a client for this. That means we need to develop Make My Trip application. So what is this Make My Trip application will do? Make My Trip application will take the data from the client. In the Make My Trip application, UI will be available. In the Make My Trip application, UI will be available. End users will communicate with Make My Trip application. End user will provide passenger data to the Make My Trip application. Now, does Make My Trip having the logic to book the ticket, or the logic available in the IRCTC? Logic available in the IRCTC. Now, what Make My Trip should do now? Make My Trip will take the data from the passenger, will give that passenger data to IRCTC API. IRCTC API. IRCTC will book the ticket and IRCTC will give that ticket data back to Make My Trip. Then Make My Trip will give the ticket to client. That is nothing but end user. End user will access Make My Trip application to book the ticket. Make My Trip will take the data from the user. Make My Trip will give to provider. Provider will book the ticket. Provider will give the ticket to Make My Trip. Here, Make My Trip will send a request. IRCTC will give the response. This request will be sent with JSON data. Passenger data will go in the JSON format. IRCTC will provide response also in the JSON format. So now, today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we are going to complete this project. Within one day, we can't complete this. Today, we will develop provider and we will test that provider, and we need to generate documentation for the provider. Once the provider documentation is ready, then I will deploy into AWS cloud and I will give the URL. Okay. Once we have the provider in the cloud, then we will start our consumer development. Once the consumer is ready, that consumer can communicate with the provider. So with this, we will get full picture. What is REST API? What is a distributed application? How one application is communicating with another application. We are going to develop this like a project. Provider application, consumer application. Consumer application should communicate with the provider application. Who is a mediator? HTTP protocol. I can run both applications in the same computer, but you will not feel that two different projects are communicating. One project I will run in the cloud, another project I will run in my system. The project which is running in my system will communicate with the project which is running in the cloud platform. Then you will get full clarity how real-time projects are running in the market. If you want, I can run provider consumer in the same computer. I can communicate, but you will not get that feel. Okay, one project is communicating with another project. Two projects running in two computers, they will communicate. How they will communicate? By using HTTP. How they will exchange the data? JSON. Why we are going for JSON? It is interoperable. My applications can understand JSON data. Are you guys clear? Now, let us start. First, in the REST architecture, two actors will be available. One will be acting as a provider, another one will be acting as consumer. What is the role of the provider? Give some services to the consumer. What is the role of the consumer? Take the services from the consumer. That is called B2B communication. Why Make My Trip communicating with IRCTC? To reuse business logic. To book the train ticket, IRCTC already implemented that logic. Why to write the same logic again? Let us use the same logic which is available in the IRCTC. That's why these two projects are going to communicate. When we are going to develop any RESTful services or any web services, always development will begin from the provider. First, provider development should be completed. Then only we can start the consumer. Can I start consumer first? Can I start the consumer development? Why no? We don't know with which project we need to communicate. First of all, provider should be ready. If the provider is ready, then only we can go for our consumer development. Now, let's start. Develop IRCTC REST API to book train ticket. Input passenger data, output ticket data, consumes JSON, produces JSON. And remember, whenever we are going, not only in the institute, even when you go for company also, whenever we are developing any REST API, first you need to have the clarity, what data we need as input, what data we need to provide as output. First we need to decide input data and output data. Clear? Now here I need passenger data as an input. What passenger data I need? I need a name of the passenger, and I need, we are not doing the real ticket booking. So I'm going to take passenger name and from which location to which location, and what is his journey date of journey, and I'm going to take train number, name from to date of journey and train number. I'm going to take this as passenger data. Then once the ticket booking is completed, what data we need to send to the client? I'm going to send ticket number. I will send the ticket number, passenger name, ticket cost, ticket cost. Then I'm going to specify in the ticket we need to print from, and we need to specify to, and we need to specify date of journey, and we need to specify ticket status of the ticket. Is it confirmed or is it in the waiting state? I need to send this data in the ticket as a response. This data I'm taking as input, this data I'm giving as output. So when you are going to develop any REST API, you should have that clarity. So now I'm developing one booking application. I need a data as an input. Then I will do some business execution. Then I will provide some output. Passenger data required to book the ticket. After booking is completed, I need to send the ticket data. Consumes JSON, produces also JSON format. Clear? Next, let me go and create the project. Let me go and create the project. Develop a REST API to book train ticket. Passenger data input, output is ticket data, consumes and produces. Now, along with this, I need to provide one more functionality. User should be able to get the ticket back based on the ticket number. Okay. So now I'm booking ticket. 2 days back, I booked my ticket. I want to get my ticket now. By using ticket number, I should be able to get the ticket. So how many methods are required in the REST API? 2 methods are required in the REST API. One method is used to book the ticket. Another one is used to get the ticket data. All right. So go to this project. Let me create a new project, guys. File, new, starter project. So it is our 27 application, 27 IRCTC REST API. IRCTC REST API. Next, I'm going for Lombok web dependency dev tools. That's it. I'm not using any database and all. So I'm using web starter, I'm using Lombok, and I'm using dev tools. Click on next and click on finish. Okay. So now our REST API is ready. REST API is ready. Go to pom.xml. You can check it. Web starter is available. Dev tools available. Lombok available. That's it. No time leaf, no JSP, nothing. Once our project creation got completed, the next step is you need to create your binding classes. Client will send JSON data. I need to represent JSON data in one object format. Okay. So now let me create my binding classes, new class. So here I'm creating binding class. First one is request. I'm taking passenger. Passenger is a request class that is used to hold request data. Let me take @data to generate setters and getters. Then let me go for variables, private, what variables, name, from, to, date of journey, and prime number. Okay, let me take these variables, private, string, name. Now, similarly, private, string, from address, to address, date of journey, and train number. Like, I'm taking this data. So this is my passenger class, which is used to hold request data. Next, I need to create one more class that is called ticket. Ticket is used for response. I'm keeping that in the response package. Go for ticket. So in this class also, I need setters and getters. For that, I'm going for @data. So in the passenger, all these details are required in the ticket also. All these details are required in the ticket also. Along with this, what additional data we need to send for ticket? Private, integer, some ticket number, private, string, ticket status, private, double, ticket cost. Okay, this is the class which is representing response data. Passenger class is representing request data. Ticket class is representing response data. Good. Now, let me create one service interface. Let me create one service interface. In dot ashok id dot service. So here I'm taking a service called booking service, ticket booking service, ticket service, or else I can say rail service, anything, booking service, booking service. Now let me take this as a interface. How many methods required for now? Two methods are required for us. What are those two methods? Public ticket object I will give as a response. Then I will call book ticket. I will give passenger data as input. One method is required that will take passenger data as a input, that will give ticket data as output. Then I'm going to take another method, public ticket get a ticket. For that I'm passing ticket number as parameter, book ticket and get ticket. So this is interface. In this interface I'm having abstract method. So one method is taking passenger data as input and it is returning ticket object as output. Another method taking ticket number as input, giving ticket as output. So this is used for booking the ticket. After booking completed, now 1 month back you booked ticket. Today you want to download your ticket. For that there should be a method to get the ticket. For example, you want to go for your hometown. 1 month back you booked your ticket. Now you lost that printout. Then what you will do? Again you will go to application, you will give your ticket number and you will download your ticket. So one method to book the ticket, another method to get the ticket. This is my interface. Now I need to provide implementation for the interface. New class booking service IMPL. Booking service IMPL class. It is going to implement that interface. Booking service interface is available. Select that. Okay, finish. Fine. So this is my interface. This is a normal Java class. I need to represent this class as a Spring Bean. How to represent this class as a Spring Bean? Come on. By using one annotation called @service annotation. By using annotation called @service. Okay. I got passenger data as input. Then what I need to return? I need to return ticket data. Okay. First of all, I will maintain one map, guys. I will maintain one map, private map. What is the purpose of a map? To store the data in the form of key and value. Now, map integer comma ticket. I'm taking tickets map. Tickets map is equal to new hash map. New hash map. Now, why I am not taking the database means I will not run this in the local machine. I will run in the cloud machine. So database will not be there in that cloud, right? That is a different story. So that's why I'm going for map concept. Tickets map I'm taking. Fine, good. Next one, here in this method, what is the logic? Booking the ticket. Now, here some logic will be available. We don't bother about that logic. What is our requirement? We need to get the data and some logic will be executed to book the ticket. Then we are going to return ticket object as a output. Ticket T is equal to new ticket. In this ticket, I need to set some data. What data I need to set? First of all, bean utils dot copy properties. Whatever the passenger data available, copy to the ticket. Then ticket dot set ticket cost. Ticket dot set ticket cost some 550. Something like this. I'm setting like this. Ticket cost 550. Then T dot set ticket status. Okay, let me give the status as confirmed. Status as confirmed. Now next one, T dot set ticket number. I need to set some ticket number. Let me take that number here. Private integer ticket number is equal to some 1. Now here the ticket number I will give like this. Then I will do ticket number plus plus. Every time it will be incremented by 1. Finally, I will return ticket. Got it? So here, once the ticket booking is completed, what I will do is, in this map, I will store that tickets map dot put of ticket number comma ticket object. So whenever this method is called, what this method will do? Some logic will be available. We don't know what logic is there in IRCTC. Leave it. Assume that I'm getting passenger data. Then I will have some logic to book the ticket. And this is my ticket data I want to send to the UI, client. So before sending the ticket, I need to maintain my tickets in the database, right? Tomorrow they will come and ask me, where is my ticket? So for that, we need to store that ticket data. In the real time, it will be stored in the database. But where I am storing now? I'm storing in the map. Now consider map is our database. Map is our database now. Ticket I'm storing in the map. Perfect. Next one, let us go here. I'm going to have one more method. Ticket number is available. When the ticket number is available, do I need to get the ticket and send the ticket? Yes, I know the number of the ticket. Get the ticket and give the ticket. Wherever ticket will be available, ticket will be available inside the map. So in the map, data will be available in the form of key value. So if data available in the key value, can you get the data based on the key? How can we get that? First of all, let us check. This map dot contains key. In the map, really, that key is available or not. If it is available, return map dot get of key. That's it. Got it? So here I am writing the logic. Whenever this method is called, what is the responsibility of this method? Based on the ticket number, it has to get the ticket and set the ticket data. Where the tickets will be available? Tickets will be available in the map. So in order to get the data from the map, first I am checking, does that map contains the ticket? With that key or not? How I am checking that? Contains the key. If it contains, then get the data by using key. Then it will give the value. I am returning that value. Ticket map dot get of ticket number. With the ticket number, I will get the ticket object. I am returning that ticket object. For example, with the given ticket number, if ticket is not available, then it is going to return null value. So there are two methods available in my service IMPL. One is book ticket method. Another one is get a ticket method. In the book ticket method, I'm taking passenger data and I'm setting some dummy data to the ticket. I'm storing the ticket into one map for future purpose. I'm storing ticket into map for future purpose. And I am returning that ticket object. And there is another method called get ticket method is available. It will take the ticket number. It will check with that number ticket available in the map or not. With that number, if ticket available in the map, get that ticket and return that ticket. If ticket is not available, it will return null value. Are you clear with this code? Are you guys clear with this code? Anybody not able to understand? Any questions, anyone? Just we implemented two methods in the service layer as of now. Once the service layer is ready, then we need to go for our REST controller. What is the purpose of REST controller? Come on. What is the purpose of REST controller? It is responsible to take the request and give the response. Can we create REST controller? Yes. Let me go for REST controller. Create new class. Now I am going to create one package called REST package. In this REST package, I am creating booking REST controller. Anything. Class name can be anything. Booking REST controller. Okay. Let me represent this as a string bean by using an annotation called @REST controller. How many methods I need to write? Come on. Two methods we need to write or one method we need to write? Two methods we need to write. What are those two methods? One is used to book the ticket. Another one is used to get the ticket. Okay. I should go for get method or post method? Method to book ticket, method to get a ticket. This should be post request method and this should be get method. Okay, fine. Let me go for this. First, I need to talk to service layer. Let me inject my service, private booking service, and I'm taking service. Let me go for dependency injection, auto wiring. I'm injecting service class object into my REST controller. Okay, fine. Method to book the ticket, post. Okay, let me write one method, public response entity. Why I will take response entity? I want to send 201 as a status code. What is the default status code it will send? 200. But I want to send 201 as the status code. Public response entity. After booking the ticket, I want to send the ticket back to the user. Now let me write ticket booking. Ticket booking. I'm expecting passenger data as a input. Passenger data as a input and it is expecting ticket. Passenger data will come in the request body, not in the URL. How to take the data from request body? By using one annotation called @request body passenger. Now let me map this method to the post request. Post mapping value is equal to slash ticket. Value is equal to slash ticket. Now it is going to consume the data and it will provide the data, produce the data. Consumes is required and produces is also required. Why consumes? Consumes is equal to, what is the consumes? Only JSON. I don't want to go for XML. Nobody is using that. Consumes is equal to JSON. That means passenger data should come in the JSON format. Method is having object as a return type. Object will go to the client. Object will not go to the client. No. Then what I need to do? Produces is equal to application slash JSON. But really, when we have only one format, is it required? Not required. By default, it will take only JSON. It will provide only JSON. Okay. Then let's call service dot book ticket, pass the passenger data. What this service method is going to return now? It will return ticket object. Return ticket object. So my method taking passenger data from the request body. It is a post request method. It is post request method. URL pattern is a slash ticket. Consumes application slash JSON. Produces application slash JSON. I'm having ticket booking method. This method is having passenger data as a parameter, which is having request body. What is the meaning of request body? What is the meaning of request body? That means this method is expecting passenger data from the request body. Who will take from request body? Who will give to my method? Dispatcher servlet. Why dispatcher servlet? Why dispatcher servlet? This method will be called by dispatcher servlet. This method will be called by dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet will take the data from the request body, will store into passenger object, will pass to this method as a parameter. Now, my method is calling service layer method. My method is calling service layer method. What that service layer method is doing? It is returning ticket object. Now I want to send ticket object as a response. Now go here, return new response entity. What is the body? What data I need to send in the response? Success message or ticket data? When you book the ticket, ticket data will go as a response. I will send ticket data, comma, HTTP status dot created. That's it. So this is one method. It is used to book a ticket. To book the ticket, this method is taking passenger data as an input and this method is returning ticket data as output. Got it? So this method is mapped to get request or it is mapped to post request. This method is mapped to post request. Why we are mapping this method to post request? Because it is creating a record, right? Booking the ticket, nothing but creating a record. When your method is responsible to create a record, you should map that method to post request method. Why not get? What is the meaning of get? Only get the data. Post means create the record. This method is responsible to create a ticket. So that's why I'm going for this method with a post request, ticket booking, taking passenger data as input, giving the passenger data to service method. Service method contains business logic. It is returning ticket object. That ticket object I am sending to client. Object will go to the client. Object will be converted to JSON and JSON will go to the client. Come on. My method is returning ticket object, guys. That object will go to the client. Object will be converted to JSON and JSON will go to the client. Object will be converted to JSON. That JSON will go to the client. Who will convert that object to JSON? Am I writing the code for that? Who will take care of it? Dispatcher servlet will take care of that. My method is expecting passenger object. Do you think that Make My Trip will send one passenger object to the IRCTC? No. What Make My Trip will do? Make My Trip will send passenger data in the JSON format. Why? Make My Trip is not a Java application. My application is Java, but my client is not Java. My client is a .NET. My client will send JSON data. But what my method is expecting? Object. Who will convert that JSON to object? Dispatcher servlet. Clear, guys? Java to JSON, JSON to Java. We no need to convert. That will be taken care by message converter. Who is using the message converter? Dispatcher servlet is using our message converter. Okay, clear? How it will understand which format client is sending data? In the request, content type will be available. How this application will understand? It has to provide the response only in the JSON format. Client will send accept header. Client will send content type as well as accept. Content type will represent what data coming in the request body. Accept will represent what data they want in the response. So with this, one method is good. Look at this method. I'm having a REST controller. Okay. In that I'm injecting my service class. Okay. And I am writing one method. That method is responsible to book the ticket. This method is binded to post request. This method is having URL pattern. And this method is having consumes and produces. Method is expecting one object as a parameter. That the data will come from request body. It is giving the request data to service method. It is giving a response object. I'm sending that response object to client as a response with the status code as 201. Are you clear? Good. Now let's go for another method called get method. What is the meaning of get method? What is the meaning of get method? We need to get the data from the server based on the ticket number. Client should give the ticket number. Server will give the ticket data. So get request is expecting some number. How can we take input in the get request? I want to develop a method. That method is taking ticket number as an input and it should give ticket data as an output. So it is a get request method. Client wants to get the ticket. Which ticket they want to get? They should pass the ticket number. So it is a get request. Can they pass a ticket number in the body? No, body will not be available. Then how they should pass the ticket number? In the URL, either query parameter or path parameter. With the ticket number, how many records will be available? One record. So path param or query param? Path param. I need ticket number as a path parameter. You give me ticket number. I will check it. If I have the ticket with that number, I will give you the ticket data. Like that, we need to develop a method. Now, let us write a method. Public. Here also, I can take response entity, but required. What is the default status code? Success 200. So I no need to go for that. Public ticket. Get ticket. Get a ticket by ID or by number. So I'm expecting ticket number, integer, ticket number. So now let me map it to get request, get mapping, value is equal to slash ticket, then slash ticket number. Now this method is having consumes. Does this method requires consumes or not required? Consumes required or not required? Not required. When you are taking body data, then only consumes required. Does this method taking body data or it is not taking body data? Not taking body data. Where the data will come? In the URL. And remember, whatever you are keeping here, same thing should be there as your variable name. Okay. Now, I need to specify annotation to read it. What is the annotation? I'm going to take an annotation called path variable. What is the purpose of a path variable? What is the purpose of path variable? It is used to read the data from the URL. It is used to read path parameter. Okay. This method is returning object. When you are returning object, what I can specify? Produces. What is that? Application/JSON. Why consumes not available? No body. So whenever method is taking data from the body, then only consumes. When a method is returning object, then only produces. Okay. Now what I will do? Return service dot get ticket with the ticket number. That's it. I'm calling my service method. What my service method will return? Ticket object. What my method will return? Ticket object. With this, our REST API is ready. So in this REST API, there are two endpoints available. Endpoint nothing but one method in the REST API. Or I can say, in this REST API, there are two operations available. One is post operation. Another one is guest operation. In normal Java classes, we will call that in the service IMPL, two methods available. But when it comes to the REST API, we will not say that as a method. We will say that as a operation. In my REST controller, in my REST API, there are two operations available. One is used to book the ticket. Another one is used to get the ticket. Are you guys clear with this? Now, what steps I have performed? Okay. Procedure of development procedure. So can you tell me what steps that I have performed? First, I have created our boot application. Create Spring Boot application with below starters. Okay. What is the starter? First one I have taken web starter, then Lombok, DevTools. That's it. Web starter, Lombok, and DevTools. I created one boot application. Then second step, create request binding class. What is the meaning of request binding class? The class which is used to store request data. So create request binding class. Request binding means the Java class which is used to store the data coming in the request. Then after, let me go here, create response binding class. What is the meaning of response binding class? The class which represents response data. Request data will be represented by passenger. Response data will be represented by ticket. Once it is done, create service interface and implementation. Create service interface and IMPL class. Then fifth step, create REST controller. Create REST controller with below two operations. What are those two operations? One is post operation, post to book ticket. Now, second one is get operation to get ticket. One is used to book the ticket, another one is only to get the ticket. Read the steps. We completed all these 5 steps. Create boot application with below starters, web starter, Lombok and dev tools. Right. Next one. Create request binding class. I'm taking passenger.java as my request binding class. What is the meaning of request binding? Come on. What is the meaning of request binding? The class which is used to store request data. Then what is response binding? The class which is used to send the data in the class which will represent response data. Create service interface and implementation class. What is the meaning of service? What is the meaning of service? That contains set of methods with business logic. Then once a service is done, now I created my REST controller. What is the purpose of REST controller? What is the purpose of REST controller? So in that, 2 operations will be available. What are those 2? First one is post operation. Second one is get operation. Post operation is used to book the ticket. Get operation is used to get the ticket. Yes, just read this. Yeah. Guys, understand, Spring Boot knowledge is very important. Without having this REST API knowledge, we cannot develop the projects. Nowadays in the market, every project is using REST APIs for the full stack development. Front end will be one project, back end will be multiple, APIs will be available. Those APIs we will develop by using Spring Boot. Most of the institutes in the Amirpet, they are telling Spring Boot is not required for the freshers. Did you hear that? Yes or no? Most of the institutes are telling that Spring Boot is not required for the fresher. Fresher means C, C++, Core Java, Advanced Java, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap. Khatam. Your full stack is completed. But in the company, will anybody develop project by using Advanced Java? No. Without Spring Boot, no project will run in the market now. So you need to realize that importance. So in the real time, 99% of Java projects will be developed by using Spring Boot. That too with REST API. Very rare legacy projects will use servlets, that JSP, Timeleaf and all. Recent projects are not going to use JSP or Timeleaf. Okay, completely it is REST based application. So you need to become very strong in this REST API development. Writing code very easy, but understanding how it is working internally, that is tough. We are sending one object as a return type, but what client is getting? JSON. Who is converting object to JSON? That maturity we need to have. Our method is taking passenger object, but a client is Python application. How Python application will send the Java object? No, Python application will send JSON data. So before the request received to our method, that JSON will be converted to Java object. That will be taken care by our dispatcher servlet. Those internals, if you understand, then you will get more confidence to attend the interviews. Keep that in mind. Ticket booking method is available. It is mapped to post request, and get ticket by number is available. It is mapped to get request. Okay, my methods are ready. I mean, my operations are ready. Then I need to go for run the application and test it using Postman. Run the application and test it using Postman. Why I am using Postman? Right. There is no UI because it is a pure REST application. It is a pure REST application. There is no UI. So I need to test it by using Postman. Refresh, right click, run as, boot application. Clear the console. Go here. Open Postman. Okay. Observe carefully. First I want to book the ticket. To book the ticket, this is my URL, localhost colon 8080/ticket. So that is my URL pattern that is mapped to post request. As it is a post request, body will be available. I need to send passenger data in the body. Now go here, go to body. In the body, passenger data. What data that passenger is expecting? Passenger data it is expecting. Go to request binding, name, something like that. Name from to some value. Name from. This is one problem in the Postman. We need to set the data first time. To address, date of journey, and train number. Name from, to address, date of journey, then train number. Okay, name, some value. Name in the double quotes, it is a string value. From address, HYD, to Delhi. Okay, date of journey, some value. So let me give as 15th May 2023. Train number, everything I have given as a string. So train number, I'm giving some number like this. Okay, fine, perfect. So this is my JSON data. So this is JSON data I am representing for testing purpose, guys. So this is input data, request data. So when you want to test it, first you need to send this data to your REST API and verify is it working as expected or not. I will make a small change in my REST controller. I will print that data. Really the request is coming or not. System.out.println passenger. If request comes, passenger data will be printed on the console. DevTools restart. Done. Clear this. Go to Postman. Post request /ticket body raw data JSON. When I select a JSON, what is the content type it will send, guys? What is the content type it is going to send? Application /JSON. It will send as a content type. Good. Now click on send. Click on send. Once I send that, what I'm getting? I'm getting the ticket data. Ticket number is 1. Status is confirmed. Price, name, from, to, journey, date, and train number. So I'm sending passenger data as a input. I'm getting ticket data as a output. Input I'm sending in the JSON format. Output I'm getting in the JSON format. So with this, our post request method is working as expected. Now I want to test my post request method with another ticket data. Instead of John, let me give as Smith. Okay, from address, this time it is Delhi and to Chennai. Okay, ticket, journey date 25th May. Train number, some other value. Good. Click on send. When I click on send, what happened? 201 created I got the Smith ticket. Go to console and check in the console. First passenger data received and second passenger data also received. Now, 2 tickets booked, they are stored in the database. In our scenario, database means map. Now, go to get request /ticket/1. Who is first record? Send. Now, when I send it 200, okay. Response body. Go to browser, ticket is not coming. Service logic. Okay. Ticket, get ticket, return the ticket, implementation, no. If ticket map contains the ticket number, return tickets map dot get of ticket. I'm returning the ticket object. No issue. No problem. After ticket booking is completed, I'm storing in the map. After that, I'm sending a request to this method. It should get the data from the map. Console, clear this. Maybe because of a header. No. Okay, let's debug. Right click, debug as boot application. Debug as boot application. Let me keep a breakpoint in my service IMPL. Ticket booking is happening and ticket getting is happening here. Map dot contains key, REST controller, service. Okay, guys, good. Path variable ticket number, that is fine. I'm sending the ticket number. Okay, let's try. Let me go here and let me execute put request first. Post request to send the data. Here is my history. Yeah, let me send post request. In the post request, I will go for localhost colon 8080/ticket. Go to body. In the body, I need to send raw data that is in the JSON format. I copied that JSON data. Give that JSON data. Go here. Breakpoints are available. Click on send. Now there is a breakpoint. Initially, what is there in the tickets map? Empty. Map does not contain any data. F6 map dot put ticket number comma ticket. In the map, ticket ID is available. Ticket number status confirmed. Oh, ticket number ++. Problem is incrementing first, then I am using. After using, then I need to increment. Because of that, I'm not getting the ticket data properly. Okay. So what I am doing here, ticket number I am incrementing. Initially, what is the ticket number? 1. When I increment, what will happen? It will become 1 only here, post increment. But I'm using. Here what will happen? It will become 2. Ticket number will become 2. But with which one we are trying to access? With 1. So increment should happen before using or after using? After using, yes. Right. This is correct approach. So that is the beauty of debugging. Line by line code we have to execute. Clear the console, then run as, debug as boot application. Clear the console. Ulta palta kar diya. Okay. Yeah. Let me go for post request. ticket sent. Right. Ticket booked. What is the ticket number I got now? 1 is the ticket number. Now let me go for browser. Get request I can send from the browser also. Now am I able to get the ticket data? Yes. Go to Postman. Go to Postman. Make a get request. For the get request, path parameter is required as 1. Click on send. So when I send it as 1, am I able to get the ticket response? Yes. So that means what? Post method is working as expected. Get method also working as expected. With this, our API development completed. With this, our provider is ready. Consumer can book the ticket and consumer can get the ticket. Are you guys clear? So we are able to test our provider. We are able to test our provider. I completed my provider development. I tested by using Postman. To test it, I'm sending this JSON data as a input. Now, okay, observe. Understand carefully now. Who is developing this provider? IRCTC application. Assume that it is developing by a company called TCS. IRCTC project developed by a company called TCS. Now, I am TCS employee for time being. Assume that I'm a TCS employee. I am part of this IRCTC development. I completed the REST API to book the ticket. I have tested this API. Everything is working as expected. Okay, we are good. We are done. Now, you people are from IBM company. You people are developing Make My Trip application. Okay. So now your application is a consumer application. My application is a provider application. Your application is a consumer application. Now assume that you all are from Make My Trip development team. I am from IRCTC development team. We completed our API to book the ticket. We tested our API is working as expected. I will deploy into cloud also. Now, whatever the API we have developed, who will access that API? I will access or you will access? Client application is going to access. Now, after completion of this API, if we tell boss, our API completed, please access it. Can you access that? I'm saying that I'm from IRCTC. Our API is completed. We have tested. Ticket booking is working. Ticket getting is also working. You start your consumer development. Can you start the consumer development? No, because you don't know what is my application URL. You don't know where is my API. You don't know what is my API. You don't know what operations available in my API. You don't know what input you need to send. You don't know what output you need. Come on, guys. Here, so once my API is completed, consumer can access our API. Consumer needs some information to access the API. Consumer needs some information to access the API. Now here, we are from the provider side. You are from the consumer side. We are working in one company. You are working in the another company. Your project should communicate with my project. If your project should communicate with my project, first of all, you should know about my project. Okay. What is my API URL? What is the input for my API? What is output of my API? Which format my API will support as input? Which format my API will support as output? Who will give you those details? Provider only should give the details. In order to give those details, provider people will generate documentation for the consumer. Provider people will generate documentation for the consumer. Provider should give that documentation to the consumer. That documentation is called Swagger. Okay, that documentation is called as Swagger. Simple example. You purchased one television, a new company television you purchased. So you don't know how to use the television. Then what you will do? When you purchase that television, they will give you one user manual. What will be there in the user manual? Documentation. They will provide information about that product, how to use that product, what precautions we need to take care, how to open that box, how to set up that box, how to use that box. Everything they will explain in the user manual. Similarly, when we complete our API, we need to provide user manual for the API. So to provide the user manual, if you purchase a mobile, or if you purchase a television, or if you purchase a laptop, they will give you a book as a user manual. In the distributed applications, once our REST API is completed, we will provide user manual using Swagger. What is that Swagger? Swagger is used to provide documentation about the REST API for the consumers. Okay, I am from IRCTC. Make My Trip is one consumer. Yatra is one consumer. Go IBBO is one consumer. There are several consumers are available. Do you think that I will call everybody for a meeting? I will explain, hey, note down. I need passenger data. In the passenger, name required, Aadhaar number required, from address, to address, train number, date of journey. If I tell like that, they can do some mistakes. They may not send the data what I am expecting to book the ticket. So that's why when our API development is completed, we need to provide API related documentation to the consumers. To provide API documentation to the consumers, we are going to use one third-party API called Swagger. I will add Swagger to my REST API. When I add the Swagger to my REST API, that Swagger will tell you what is the URL of my API, what operations available in the API, what input I am expecting for the API, what output you will get from the API. Everything will be explained in detail in the Swagger documentation. I need to add Swagger documentation in the REST API, in the IRCTC API. That Swagger documentation, I will give it to you. By using that Swagger documentation, you can understand how is my API, where is my API, what methods available, what is input for my API, what is output for my API. So now what we need to understand? We need to understand what is Swagger and how to add Swagger for the REST API. Clear? Now you got the clarity. What is API? What is the Swagger? API means it will contain some business logic to perform business operation. I developed my API. My API can be accessible by multiple consumers in the market. Whoever want to access my API, they should know my API details. To provide my API details, I will go for Swagger documentation. What is the purpose of this Swagger documentation? Come on, what is the purpose of this Swagger documentation? This Swagger documentation is used to provide API URL, API operation, API input, API output, everything it will give you like a user manual. If you have that user manual, then you can start your consumer development. Without having API documentation, you cannot develop the consumer because you don't know what is my URL, my API URL. You don't know what data I'm expecting to book the ticket. You don't know what output I will give you. So that's why for every API, documentation is required so that consumers can understand the API with the documentation. Based on the documentation, they will develop the logic to access my API. Are you guys clear with this? Good. Perfect. Now, how to add Swagger documentation in our application? Very simple. Just 4-5 lines of code will be available. That's it, which will provide Swagger documentation of our API. Spring Boot with Swagger. Just Google it. Spring Boot with Swagger example will be available. Setting up Swagger with the Spring REST API. Okay. So whatever the first link that is getting, go to that link. Setting up Swagger for our API. So now Spring Fox Boot Starter, Spring Fox Swagger. So this is Swagger dependency that we can add. After adding Swagger dependency, we need to write one method like this. Okay. So this is the method which will generate documentation for our REST API. This will generate the documentation for REST API. How to do that? I will explain in the tomorrow's class. Today, I want you people to complete this API development. I want you people to complete this API development. Get request method, post request method. In the tomorrow session, I will show you how to add Swagger documentation for the API. Once the Swagger documentation is added, then I will deploy to cloud. I will give the cloud URL. Then we can start consumer development. Good. Any questions, anyone? Come on. Online students, anybody having any questions?
Sir,
Come on, man. Online
Sir,
people, any questions, anybody?
Sir, are we going to implement security in future classes?
Spring security is part of our syllabus. Yes, we will discuss that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
hello, sir.
Yes, sir. 1 minute.
Sir, in post mapping, we are using response entity for the 201 generation status code now, sir.
Correct.
Sir, why we are using as a status code for 201, sir?
Sir, 201, it is clearly the message is saying na created. What is the meaning of post request? You want to create one record, right? And
Yes.
that record is created. That is a meaningful status for the post request. You can give 200 also, no problem.
We can set as a status code as.
That is the standard, sir. For post request, you will give 201, saying that your record is created. If you give 200 also, no problem.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You got it?
Yeah, sir, thank you.
Anyone else from online? Any other questions? I want you to complete this IRCTC API. Tomorrow we will see Swagger implementation for that. Thank you.